Hello everyone, Storm 101 here. Today we'll be having an update on the tropics here. We got some big news from coming in from Tropical Storm Marco and also Tropical Storm Laura. But before we get into that, I want to mention about from a severe weather standpoint that on day 4, which is Tuesday, there is a large 15% slight risk across for nearly the entire northeastern United States, which then also includes portions of the Mid-Atlantic and also portions of the Great Lakes. It includes places like Buffalo, New York, Washington D.C., Pittsburgh, uh, Burlington, Portland, Detroit, Cleveland, all those areas, and including the entire northeastern United States, do have a chance for severe weather on day 4, which is Tuesday. The primary threat's likely to be damaging winds. Now, this is due to a cold front that'll be coming through, and along that cold front, we can see some scattered to widespread thunderstorms, and some of those can produce some damaging winds. So that's it for that's something I want to mention about on the severe weather side of things. I may have a full video on the severe weather tomorrow. We're gonna see what the SPC will say on day 3 tomorrow. So let's now move on to the tropic side of things here. So we currently have Marco here, which has been shifting around with its track here. It's now going to go in between Mexico and Cuba here. It's moving north-northwest at 12 miles an hour. It's actually at 65 mile per hour wind sustained. You also got Laurel, tropical storm Laurel, which is south of Puerto Rico, which I actually do have a radar image, but we'll take a look into that in just a moment, which it has max sustained winds of 40 miles per hour. But I just got word that it has strengthened to 45 miles an hour, so it's gaining strength. It's also moving west at 18 miles an hour. And this disturbance that we talked about a couple videos ago, that's showing the National Hurricane Center having a 40 to 50%, which is now um, been downgraded to a 10% for the next 48 hours to 5 days. So we're not really worried about that now, but let's take a look into Laurel here first, which we do have radar imagery, which things like we're trying to load up. Looks like it just crashed on me for some reason. So let's try to get it back up and running here. So if we go ahead and play this here, so now this is south of Puerto Rico. So your main circulation is going to be right in here. You can see it has a kind of like a circular motion here. Yeah, rain kind of moving this way here, so getting wrapped around the main circulation here. Right now, most of Puerto Rico is starting to get some shower activity here, although that'll be increasing there. Also, kind of surveying this northern area here, that's all tropical storm winds up there, so that's definitely very interesting here. And again, it's moving a little bit more to the west here. So it's moving kind of in this general direction here. Dominican Republic is right up here, so and that's where it'll be heading right towards next here. So it's currently gaining strength as of right now uh, with Laurel. So let's go ahead and click on Laurel here. Again, we're for update here. Uh, you can see here increase to near 45 miles an hour with higher gusts as well. So that'd be So that's what I was talking about there. And let's take a look into their cone here. And as you can see here, you can see how their cone goes through Dominican Republic, Haiti, and also Cuba, pretty much straight through those areas there. You can see its wind field is a large, and I mean it's a large wind field, tropical storm winds there. You can see where the cone is going. It's been shifting west for the past few days now. You remember I believe on the first outlook, it was looking like it could affect eastern Florida. Now we're all the way to portions of Texas and Louisiana now, as far west. It was what the National Hurricane Center is forecasting here. It's uh, looking to be a Category 1 hurricane at landfall. At least that's what the last time I looked onto a different graphic there. So So at this point, they're expecting this to be a Category 1 hurricane at landfall here. So again, here's Laurel, pretty starting to get a little bit better organized here. So let's take a look into some hurricane models here. Here's the tracks here. A little bit of a pretty good agreement, but beyond Cuba here, you can see we now have a very large spread in the models. Now, I'm pretty sure that CEM2 is pretty much an outlier at this point here, but some of these other models here, like CT, CI, and AVNI, kind of in between those is looking to be the forecast for now. Although you do have a couple of models bringing it to southeastern Texas, that may be due to a very strong ridge here, and that's why the shift has been continuing to the west is because the ridge, the Bermuda High, keeps on getting stronger. So you can say where it brings to tracks here mainly kind of just between kind of around Lake Charles and west of New Orleans. It kind of going through uh, Little Rock as well, then eventually into Memphis, Tennessee, and then into kind of nearby Lexington, Kentucky. There's looking to be where the main track is looking to be for right now, at least what the better agreement is for right now. But we'll be keeping an eye on the tracks here, so. And again, hurricane models do a pretty good job with tracking hurricanes, but when we're seeing some uncertainties like this here, that's not kind of a good sign there. That means the the uncertainties are higher um, with the storm here. Although the GFS ensembles is not having much of any uncertainties at all, even though it may be still, one member out in eastern Mississippi, and then you got one east central Texas, still in a pretty good agreement here, especially later down the road here, goes into Kentucky as well. So we're eventually could be seeing a curve at some point with Laurel here. And here's the Canadian model here. It's not been doing a good job with tropical systems so far. Take this as a grain of salt here. This is the forecast, the intensity guidance from the hurricane models here. You can see here that one going to Category 4. Just ignore that one. That's likely an outlier. But you can see here we do have a group of models do bring it into a Category 1 hurricane, which I do agree with some of those models in there. Although I could see this maybe becoming a little bit overachiever, maybe closer to Category 2 hurricane due to how warm the waters are, and that'd be definitely something we're going to watch for as well. But you still got a very large spread of models. Like you got one in Category 4, and meanwhile you got a couple other models in a tropical depression at this point here. So still a very large spread in the model intensity guidance, although they've been doing pretty bad so far this hurricane season. So again, like I said, take that as a grain of salt. So that's pretty much it for Laurel there. And let's take a look into Marco here, which is actually at 65 miles an hour. And it's also moving north-northwest at 12 miles an hour. Excuse me. There. So let's take a look into Marco here. And as you can see here from their cone here, we're actually expecting it to, be to become a hurricane today. So that's definitely something very interesting here. Although it does die down into a tropical storm as it gets closer to Louisiana. There's where, although I don't really quite know why dying down to a tropical storm. I may have to look into maybe if there's some wind shear or dry air involved there, but I'll take a look into it to see why it's dying down. But now I want you guys to pay attention on the timing of between these two here. So I'm going to get both cones here out for Marco and Laura. So let's go to Marco first. So you can see here, it's looking to get close to Louisiana by 7 o'clock Monday there as well here, dying down to a tropical storm. However, by near about 7 o'clock on Monday, I forgot the name of this one. Oh yeah, Laurel. Laurel is actually just entering the Gulf of Mexico. So basically, if these forecasts verify here, Marco will be right over here. Meanwhile, Laurel will be right here. So they're actually a little bit further apart. So we may not get to see a that type of effect where two hurricanes get close to each other and one of them is eventually going to cancel themselves out, or one of them could go around the main dominant storm. I don't think we'll be seeing that with this, with what the forecasts are showing for right now. So I don't think we'll be seeing that type of scenario because of the timing here. So basically, what I'm saying here is Marco's about 1 to 2 days ahead of Laurel. So that's definitely something very interesting here. So we might not get to see any of these storms die down because of that type of effect here, because they are going to be a little bit further apart as we're looking as we're kind of looking to those forecasts as of right now. But although these here can still change here as well. So let's take a look into Marco here. It's starting to get a little better organized here. It's actually starting to move in between Mexico and Cuba. Like I said, that's the worst case scenario because that's since it's not going to be hitting any land, it's actually going to give a lot more time to intensify. And that's why it's going to be becoming a hurricane by later today, just because of that here. Although there is some bad news from the hurricane models, it's not the intensity, it's actually the tracks. It is all over the place. Although you do have a cluster of models bringing it into kind of southwest of Houston, meanwhile you have kind of a small cluster model still taking it up into like Mobile, Alabama. That's where a couple of models are actually indicating that. And some models are taking it to Mississippi, Alabama. Meanwhile, some other models are actually taking it to Texas or even Louisiana as well. So definitely a very large spread in the models. Although you can see here, we'll start to see that right turn eventually here for Marco. So we'll be keeping an eye on it as well. But that's kind of making forecast a little bit more difficult uh, from Marco there. Here's the GFS Asamos here. You can see here, it actually kind of uh, seems like kind of stays a little bit stationary, just uh, the coast of Texas there. Although it be staying weak of what it seems here. I don't think that's realistic at all. Although you do see a couple of members bringing into land here and kind of bring a similar track like Laurel is showing for some of the other models. So if this verifies here, we could be seeing a big time flooding threat for some of these areas here because even though you might got hit by one tropical system that could put down a lot of rain, you're still going to get another one in a couple of days. So that's not good there. That can really make the grounds very saturated, and that's going to make flooding a little bit easier for the next system. Although I don't think that will happen there, but we'll be keeping an eye on that. Here's the CMC here, kind of a similar scenario here. A couple of members bringing it to a similar track while Laurel is showing there. You may be following a couple days behind, but you can also see here the members are kind of all over the place in the Gulf there. So really, again, models are just all over the place. Although with the intensity guidance here, we're actually getting a little better agreement here with the intensity here. You got anywhere from a strong tropical storm to a weak category 2, which is not that bad at all. It really isn't. Although I think category 1 hurricane would be likely, but I can also say it is possible for this thing to become a category 2 hurricane due to extremely warm waters, especially um, around Louisiana and Texas, where we're having sea surface temperatures at least 30 degrees Celsius, which is in the and that's in the upper 80s in Fahrenheit. So very warm waters. So in the Gulf right now, and that's why I'm indicating for a possibility for maybe a low end Category 2 hurricane for Marco. And also could happen to Laurel as well. It's just depending on when Laurel passes Cuba, how disorganized or organized can it still be? How organized can it still be, or how disorganized it could be. So, but we'll find that out whenever, passes Cuba there when it gets into the Gulf for Laurel. So again, with either way, these systems here are going to bring in a lot of rain. So we're going to take a look at the GFS model here. We'll take a look at the Euro, which are both actually showing uh, Laurel now. And I think the GFS sort of shows Marco, so that's not a good thing there. We'll also take a look to the Weather Prediction Center as well. So as we kind of continue here, actually the GFS model does show Marco right there. Kind of makes landfall into actually not quite landfall. It's actually very close. Seems like kind of stays stationary for a moment. And then you can see how it kind of moves to the east there. Although this is actually kind of hard to tell, so let's actually kind of move backwards a little bit here. And let's take a look into a different graphic here. Let's actually take a look to, you know, kind of call it as like a future radar or something like that. We'll see what the GFS model kind of shows here. So there goes Marco right there. See, it actually dies down, and here comes the Laurel right there. It actually makes landfall kind of nearby Houston, Texas, and you can see there, especially when it gets across the Laurel Hall Valley, Tennessee Valley, you can see multiple rounds of heavy thunderstorms there. And what that's going to create is some flash flooding issues, but also another area that can see quite a bit of flash flooding issues is around Houston there when it makes landfall. So let's go back here. So there's Laurel right there. It dies out, and here comes Marco. Actually, just got that backwards. Marco just basically dies out in the Gulf, and here comes Laurel right there making landfall there. You can see nearby Houston there. Could see rainfall amounts, maybe up to 7 inches of rain possibly. You can see here's also another area here showing some high numbers here. About 7 inches rain across portions of central Tennessee. Even across southern Kentucky, maybe 4 to 5 inches of rain. So there's still a lot of, so there could be a lot of rain coming with this system here. Well, at least from Laurel and Marco, both of them will bring quite a bit of rain. So here's the European model. You can see here Laurel, I meant Marco, pretty much dies out in the Gulf of Mexico. At least there's a pretty decent agreement. It seems like it'll be dying out in the Gulf of Mexico. That may be due to two systems kind of fighting each other. So that may be indication that, or like in a boxing match here, Marco loses and Laura wins. Kind of putting it a different way like that. But you can see here, here's a track of Laurel right here. You can see some areas could be seeing 5 inches of rain. It can even expand into southern Indiana and Ohio there, and even lastly to West Virginia. It's actually a pretty clear track there. So, but I'll say isolated amounts here could be higher than that as well. There. So let's take this in a national view here. Now this is from the Weather Prediction Center's outlook here. You can see a pretty good swath of 2 to 4 inches rain across Mississippi, eastern Louisiana, eastern Arkansas, most of Tennessee, southern Kentucky, and also western Alabama there. Although this will likely change when we have a better idea with Marco and Laura. Although you can see some of the coastal regions here, some areas could see up to 6 inches of rain. So either way, if it's going to be weak of a strong system, either way they'll both still bring quite a bit right to some of these ridges. It's just the question is where it's going to be going here is kind of the biggest question right now. But anyways, guys, this is all for you guys today. Hopefully, you guys did enjoy this tropical update. If you guys did like this video, hit that like button. If you really do like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notifications so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, you can put in the comment section down below. I answer you guys questions. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.